of this show, bite-sized tips for busy entrepreneurs. That is a great wake-up tune. I don't know about you guys, but I think I need to play my intro video every morning to get going. You know, that and my coffee, which is right here. I'm already done with that for the day. Hey, everyone. Good morning. How are you doing? I got to ask you a serious question. Do you have any fear? Linda West, are you watching? Because I know that you faced a fear every day for a year, and that was amazing for you. You overcame your fears. Shelly Mitch, are you out there watching? Do you have any fears? Hey, if you say you don't have any fears, I say you're lying or you're dead. I'm serious, because we all have fears in life, and there's nothing wrong with admitting that, especially when you're running a business. You might have a lot of fears. Will I fail? Will this work out? Will I look stupid? Can I learn everything I need to know to run a business? Can I get an amen or a high five? You know, do you struggle with imposter syndrome or comparatitis? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel like a hamster in a spinning wheel? Anybody ever feel like that? I know that I have, and it's okay to share that we have fears and struggles. The main objective here, you guys, is to learn from your fears and your struggles. And don't get me wrong, there are days that are great, like today. This is my second, or I have 2 live shows today. I've been on a Zoom call about LinkedIn, and my next guest that's coming on in just a couple minutes, he's amazing. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Fain Brandt, CEO and Chief Inspiration Officer and host of this show, Bite-Sized Tips for Busy Entrepreneurs, where I bring on savvy, talented business owners to help you scale your business with ease. Sounds fun, right? Well, today's guest is a new connection of mine, Bill Soroka. He's here in Arizona, my new home state. And thanks to my girl, Shelly Mitch, for saying, Mary, you got to go check out Bill. this Bill Soroka, he's a notary coach and he's written a book on LinkedIn. You should go check it out. I'm like, okay, let me do that. Well, he's a pretty fantastic guy. Sent him an email message on LinkedIn and we got connected. So we're going to bring him on the show in just a moment. I want to let you know what we're covering today. You know how the show goes. It's 30 minutes, 3 tips. So we're just going to be talking about fears and how to learn from your mistakes. We all make mistakes. There's no such thing as perfect. It's better just to get it done. And he's going to talk about learning through habits and routine. I love routines. Before we bring Bill up, let's give a shout out to the sponsor of this show, StreamYard, which makes it so easy to go live. You just hit the go live button, bring the comments on like my buddy, Tim. Tim Sohn is in the house watching all the way from Pennsylvania. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to put the link for StreamYard. If you're interested in checking it out, I'll put that in the comments in just a moment. But you know what? Let's get Bill up on stage. What's up, Bill?
Hey, Mary, how's it going?
It's going great. You're here. I'm so excited to have you here. And shout out to my girl, Shelly Mitch. She loved your book. She was like, the best book ever. It helped me pass my notary exam. And I'm just thankful that she said, Mary, you should check out this guy. He wrote a book on LinkedIn. And I was like, okay, who is this person? And thank you for accepting my, connection request. It wasn't salesy, right? It wasn't salesy.
It wasn't salesy. Thank you for connecting the right way. I loved it. Yeah. Right. And thanks to Shelly for connecting us too. I can't wait to meet both of you in person.
I know. And Peter just joined. Hello, Peter. Says, hola, Mary. Is that Laura? I think that's my girl, Laura Torres. So thank you for joining us. So we've got people from all over the place joining us. So, awesome. Bill, why don't you tell everyone a little, because I'm curious, notary, right? So you have a very successful business, but most people think notary is like a very streamlined small business. But I see that you've blown it up, and I'd love to hear more about your story, how you got started, and that journey to, you've got the side hustle. You've got your hands in a lot of things. A book, podcast.
That seems to be the constant theme in my life. I love multiple irons in the fire. In fact, how I define myself is as a multi-potentialite serial entrepreneur. If I have a hobby or a passion, there's something inside of me that just has to turn it into a business or has to turn it into something that I can focus on, monetize, and really blend into my life. And that it hasn't always worked out. Obviously, I think we get a chance to talk about that today, but now it really has. And I'm not the only one that has found a way to make the notary business ultra successful. There are thousands of notaries across the country. And I think that's what I really love about this business is it flies under the radar. And, when I first came into it 9 years ago, it was hungry for innovation and just applying basic business principles to an ancient industry. And that has made all the difference for me. I got really good at being a mobile notary and loan signing agent for the mortgage industry. I developed a multiple 6-figure business, just working by myself, hustling, loving what I did. I used to pinch myself every day thinking there's no way I can make this much money and love what I do. I'm just waiting for the government officials to knock on the door and arrest me or do something because it's not right. But it is. It's a totally legit business. And that's a huge attraction point for me. Plus, it gave me the flexibility in my schedule. So I never had to go back to a call center or a cubicle again. And that ceiling of income is gone. I could make as much money as I wanted. So I really learned how to nail this business. And then as I started to grow and scale, I started to realize that there was a need to teach other notaries in other states where I could not practice being a notary. I needed to teach them what the expectations of my clients were. So I started sharing my journey on YouTube, sharing information in an industry where it used to be held pretty close to the vest. And then I started developing a course, and I created an online course called Sign and Thrive through my Notary Coach brand. I just kind of bought that domain one day, and it's kind of evolved from there. And then I wrote a book called Sign and Thrive: How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent. And then we wrote Supercharged Notary Book. So it kind of evolved. And ironically, the way I got into this business was not, it's not like one day I said, oh, I'm going to be a mobile notary and loan signing agent, and I'm going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Like overnight, it didn't happen overnight, Bill, because people look at other people online, and we're going to talk about imposter syndrome. But I just want to interject, like, people look at people like you online and are like, oh my God, he's written a book, he's got a podcast, he's rocking it on LinkedIn. You know, he trains and coaches, he has a course. Oh my gosh, he's an overnight success. But that didn't happen, right? Overnight success that took over 30 years. Yeah. Now there's some cold, hard truth, you guys.
Yeah. And seriously, and that's exactly how it worked. And I didn't have a big plan or expectation for the notary work. In fact, it was probably the least expectation, because I had multiple irons in the fire, but I had a disjointed energy and no self-discipline at all. In fact, I was really resistant to habits and routines, and I really thought I was something special and I could do things different. I was going to be that maverick entrepreneur who bucked the system and didn't need morning routines and do the successful things, processes. Right? Or a system. Yeah, no
SOPs needed.
I love
Throw that out the door. I can get a 6-figure business up and running, you know.
Piece of cake, right? Overnight success is every day. But as it turns out, that was not the case. I had, on my 26th business failure, it was like the last 6 all kind of collapsed in the same 60-day time period. But the last one standing was my mobile notary and loan signing business. It was pretty resilient, but I gave it the least amount of attention and energy and respect. So when I picked up the pieces, you know, I had heartache, I had lost a relationship, all my businesses collapsed, my self-confidence was obliterated. And when I picked up the pieces and I focused on the notary business, that's when everything changed. And part of that was this adoption of habits and routine through Miracle Morning, Brendan Burchard, BJ Fogg and his tiny habits. All of those changed my life.
I'm writing that in the comments.
Which one? The Miracle Morning?
No, habits and routines are part of a successful business.
You know, I resisted it my entire life. I really did. I thought habits and routines were for boring people. Like, I remember being at parties and people leave early because they're going to go practice for their marathon that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And I'm like, God, what? You're missing out on a party. Who does that? Like, I want to live in the moment. These are what we're going to remember. And of course, right. I don't remember those parties at all anymore, you know, but those people remember their marathons. So I've learned that through structure and discipline comes freedom. It's not the other way around.
And strength. So I used to be a runner. I used to run like 5Ks on the weekend just for fun. And then I did a couple triathlons and 1 half marathon, and can't run anymore. 2 knee surgeries later and replacement. But I was that person that on Friday night would say, sorry, I can't go out and have cocktails because I'm running. And my friends would be like, well, come on, just come out. I'm like, nope, can't do it because I got to be up and I've got to run. And especially, you know, the 5Ks got to the point where I could have like 1 cocktail and go run a 5K. But at the beginning, no. Right. Yeah. It was all that training and discipline and routines because we ran 3 times a week. But with those half marathons and triathlons, it was discipline and routines. With the triathlons, to put this in a personal perspective, we were training 5 days a week, swim, bike, run, swim, bike, run. We were doing one of those things and sometimes 2. So I had to say no a lot to be able to do that. And I do remember I have my first triathlon, I bought the friggin' pictures, right? And it's framed on my wall because I'm like, yep, I did that. Check.
Yeah. I think what you described is just having a clear vision of what it is that you want to do, or better yet, who you want to become. You wanted to become a runner. You wanted to be somebody who runs. And when you have that kind of clarity, you make that a priority, you make that work a priority. And I think that's the real power. And I think the vision is what so many of us skip over. It's some people think it's cheesy and it doesn't make sense. You just want to get right into the work, but you've got to have that vision, because when temptation hits, or challenge, or bumps in the road, or potholes, or Grand Canyons of challenges, you've got to have something that pulls you through those moments, and your vision will do that.
And you have to learn how to say no so you can say yes to bigger things. So I'm going to bring this back to business, because you have to, in business, you have to know when to say no to either networking events, speaking events, and even clients, in order that you can say yes to the right fit, to the right events, to the right speaking opportunities, to the right clients, right?
Oh, totally. I think I had a hard time relating to this when I was in like my full hustle and scramble mode, right? When I was unfocused, I was saying yes to everything because it just seemed like it could be the right opportunity for me. But when you say yes to everything, a lot of things fall through the cracks, and a lot of the wrong thing gets in as distractions. So I think the real power, I think Steve Jobs said it best. It's not the things we said yes to, it's the things we said no to that make Apple great. And that is, I'm learning to be an absolute truth. What that takes, though, right? It's not just a cliche or I can't think of the word, but just not something that we just say. What it takes behind the scenes is trust. You got to trust that things are unfolding in your favor. You got to trust the path and the journey that you're on. Trust the vision that you have. So you know that it's okay to say no, because there's a much bigger yes, or the whatever you're working for is going to be worth it.
So I'm putting that in the comments too. I like to put some pro tips down there. And it's ironic that you said you have to trust and have faith about the journey that you're on, because we all go through different seasons, right? And so I was talking to my husband, and this was a huge conversation that we were having about where I want to take my business and the journey I'm on, and that I need to trust and have faith of that journey. So I'm like, okay, thank you, God, for sending me Bill to reiterate what you're telling me. So I'm cracking up over here. I'm like, wait, this show is for everyone else, not just for me, right? Because we all go through different seasons and we all have fears. So let's talk about, now you said, how many businesses have you had?
I think I'm up to 30 or 31 now. The ones that, the most recent ones are the ones that have lasted, but I have 26 that have failed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want everyone to make sure that they heard Bill said he had 26 failed businesses before he got to this point. So if you're just starting off, or you've been in business for a couple, 2-3 years, and you're like, I'm not sure this is going to happen, I want you to have faith and trust the process and the journey, because it doesn't mean that you're going to fail forever, but also fail forward. Is there a couple lessons from those failed businesses that you might be able to share with our audience of what to look for when you know it's time to fold it up, or just a couple lessons that you think are prominent?
Yeah, I have a couple that stand out to me. Number one, and it just came to me because of what you said, when to fold it up. I think outside of like scientific metrics, which I'm not good at, I'm not a statistician, and I don't go by that. I'm very feeling driven when it comes to this. But I think the key is introspection and reflection. You've got to look back. If a business isn't working out, you've really got to get into the core of why, and understand that you are the common denominator in this. So there's something probably going on with how you're showing up that might be impacting it. And this would be my number one lesson, is take 100% responsibility for your results, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's not pretty, and a lot of people don't, but this is where the blame game comes in. And I was stuck in this rut for a long time. I would bounce from idea to idea. I would get people excited about an idea. I'd have business partners, or I'd just jump into something full force, and then the economy wasn't ready for it, or the branding wasn't right, or whatever. And I always had something to blame. There's always someone or something to blame. I could blame the economy. I had some horrendous business partner stories, and I did absolutely blame them. And then I could have a reason or a great excuse to move on to the next business. But when things turned around for me is when I let all of that go. When I took responsibility, when I said, I made the choice of who my business partner is. I either vetted them or didn't. I'm the one who decided to start this business at this time in this country, at this economic standpoint. I took 100% responsibility for all of those, and it sucked. It's like I was already down, right? All my businesses had collapsed. I was spending alone. I was alone over Thanksgiving weekend, just depressed as all hell, and trying to figure out what had gone wrong. And I did a hard look, and it was me. I was the reason for all of this. And while it sucked at first, it was also incredibly empowering because it was me. So it sucked because it was me. And then it was like, holy crap, it's me. I can do this. Exactly. I can make this work. And then that's when things started to shift, and I started to own it. And I went down that rabbit hole of habits and routines to try to figure it out. So that would be 2 suggestions. Constant reflection. Are you doing this business for the right reason? If it's just money, I guarantee you guys that is not the right reason. If you don't have something deeper propelling you forward, you will hit walls and you will get results that is less than stellar. And you're going to be wondering what's wrong. It's probably because there's not something, a deeper value associated with it. So you got to keep looking at that.
Yeah, I think that's a core component. And when you're starting a business, you write a mission and vision. So from day one in my company, we've always had a give back component. And I had to work through this, to be honest. Like when I started off, I was like, oh, I don't need to make that much money, just enough to live, right? I don't need to be wealthy. So it's about changing my mindset, because then through conversations with a coach, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm not being selfish if I want to make more money, because then I can hire more people and I can donate more money to my causes. So my whole thing is Alzheimer's, because my mom passed away from early onset Alzheimer's. So I like to give back to the nonprofits that help seniors and their families. And so that's my bigger mission. The more money I make, the more people I can hire and support that way. And I get to give back, a percentage of my profits to the nonprofits here to help, people going through the struggles that I went through. So that's the deeper passion and purpose.
Yeah, it's so important to have that. I love that you have that.
Yeah. Okay. Those were really great stories.
I have a couple more too.
Oh, go for it.
I don't know if do you want me to keep going, or do you have a different direction?
I think people, so for me, and you guys, please tune in. We don't want this to be one-dimensional and flat. If you've got any questions about fears or notary stuff, because I know my girl Shelly's watching, we'll talk about both. But, we really wanted to, I love that you said, hey, I had over 30 companies and 26 failed. So tell us some other lessons that you learned.
Yeah. So I think another big one is don't let your challenges or your problems let's word it like this. Your problems and challenges aren't that special. I think we have this tendency to think that our situation, our challenge, I've got 3 kids at home. I've got to take care of my elderly parents. I've got 2 jobs I have to work. I'm putting my kids through college, or whatever those challenges might be. We tend to think that those are really unique and special. So we allow those to become a crutch, or even just a full-on blocked wall from our dreams. And I would encourage you to realize that while you're so special and so unique in so many ways, your problems aren't. So don't let those get in your way. And then the big one for me, and again, this is just my maybe my personal situation, but I've learned that which I am resisting the most, I probably need the most.
Oh, wow.
So if and again, I think that's why, and Mary, you tell me in your experience, why so many people push back or avoid personal development, because it sucks sometimes when you're in there and you have to face
You've
on
got to
things like
dig
this.
deep, go through the trenches, and you have to be able to own your shit. If you
Yeah.
can't own your shit, you are never going to grow and develop. So my
Yeah.
degree is in organizational leadership, and I had some tough teachers where we had to dig deep, and we had to write papers on why we fail. And we had to write like personal stuff like growing up, and I'm like, man, this shit's deep. But
Yeah.
it's through like owning it, like releasing it and be like, so for example, I am not a great manager. I'm a great cheerleader. I'm a great project person, but I don't manage people well. That's not my strength. So those roles never worked out well for me. But I didn't know that at the time. I had to go through all this learning. And for me, it was in organizational leadership classes that I learned like, I'm a great people person, but that doesn't mean that I manage people well.
Yes. Same boat here, Mary. I'm
I had to
exactly the
eat
same.
some crow. Talk about eating
Yeah.
crow. I had a whole team back at this office, and we had to have a meeting because my regional manager said, "Oh, your employees are mad at you." I was like, "What?" Like, I'm so nice to them. I buy them candy. I let them leave early. But you know what? I just, I was not a good, and this was decades ago, like 30 years ago. I was not a good manager leader then. I would do things differently now, but I own my shit. I don't want to manage people. That's not my strength. Laura's like, Mary, not a manager. Shocking, not true. I'm a team leader. You're right. Like I can lead a team short term. I don't want to be stuck with you for a year. And that's nothing against you, but you know what? That's just the way I roll. That's my design. So Jennifer has a question. Do you have any accountability tips for holding yourself accountable? Working from home alone, it's easy to get into some bad habits. Jennifer, oh my gosh. So I'm going to talk for just 1 second, and then I'm going to turn it over to the expert over here, Bill. Get up, get dressed every day, set a routine, and don't go down the Facebook rabbit hole. I actually remove Facebook, unless that's what you do for your business. It is not on my desktop when I'm working. I will check it periodically through the day because I do use it for business, but I found myself going down that Facebook and Instagram rabbit hole. So for me, I know it's routines. That's all I can say. Bill, take it away.
Yeah, well, I'll piggyback right on that because I measure my life before Miracle Morning and after Miracle Morning.
What's Miracle Morning?
Miracle Morning is a book written by Hal Elrod. And
how do I spell his last name?
Elrod.
Elrod. Elrod.
Yeah. Yeah. And he gives you 6 practices to do in the morning. And it's meditation, it's affirmations, visualization, exercise, and reading and journaling. Those 6 things, even if you did it for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, even 1 minute each, whatever it is, it helps get your mind right in the day. So I would start there. And then this is going to go back to the vision. You've got to have a vision that's going to keep you on track, because if you leave your mind to react to whatever comes up, there's always going to be something else to do. There's always going to be an email to read. There's always going to be a notification. There's always going to be something that is going to just turn your head a different direction. You have got to know what you are looking to do. Who do you want to become in your life? Or what do you want to create in your life? You've got to have that idea. And as you work backwards from that, plan your day. Look at if you're literally working from home and working for somebody else and you have a time clock, you've got to handle that. But either before that or after that, claim your dream, schedule that dream. And if it's writing a book, schedule an hour to just sit down and write your book. And I love what Mary said too, because I would probably say 70%, maybe even higher than that, people, the first thing they do is they wake up and they check their phone. So, and I fell right into that trap. So I don't even keep my phone's downstairs. After 8 p.m., I don't do anything with it. And I don't check my phone again unless there's something weird going on I don't check it until business hours start. And that might be 8 in the morning. That might be 9 in the morning. That's when I give myself permission to check those things.
Yeah. So I'm that person, Bill. So my alarm goes off at 5:30. I turn on the news because I like to kind of listen, I like to know what's going on in the weather, especially here in Arizona. We have monsoons and hubboobs, and those are like really scary things, you guys. I'll be doing videos when they come out. But we have weird weather here. So I'm always like, okay, what's today look like? But I do check my phone in bed while I'm watching the news, because I check for like emails from my VA. And right now we're in launch mode. So I do check all that, but I probably need to be better about that. Everyone says, don't check email in the morning. Don't look at your phone. Shelly says, so very true. I need to start doing this again. Yeah, you do, girl. Get off Instagram. I know,
Mary, that brings me to another really good point, though. And an important lesson, if you're going to try things and flop, if you're going to attempt not to look at your phone in the morning and then do that, you've got to give yourself space and grace to make a mistake. You don't have to send yourself through some shame cycle, because that shame cycle is just going to stop you from moving forward again. You've got to just say, yep, I slipped again, and then get back on the horse again, get back on track again. Give yourself a free day, give yourself a time period. For me, I scheduled pity parties. Like if I was like, I don't want to do anything, I'll give myself 3 hours. I'll give myself an entire weekend sometimes, just like, all right, the whole routine's off. You're fine. Just sit and relax or have some fun. Whatever it is, whatever I feel like I need, I give that guilt-free. And then you schedule the time to get right back on track again. Just avoid the shame cycle that is so easy to get into, especially on social media.
I love it. So we talked about, don't be afraid of failing. So that was a lesson I learned later in life. Fail forward. Every time you fail, what is the lesson that you can learn from that? What did you learn from failing? Implement habits and routines. I think that is like the biggest takeaway today from the audience and for us, me as well. Laura's like, oh my God, I'm borrowing that too. You have to give yourself grace. I love all these, and, build your business. But I think the other key takeaway today, Bill, is know who you want to become and then set up your plan, right? You've got to have your vision. Nobody can create your vision for you. So a lot of people ask for, when they're going through branding and stuff, well, I don't know. Well, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know the tone of your voice, your branding, and you don't know what your vision is, and when I'm working with my job seekers or my entrepreneurs, where do you want to land? Let's position your LinkedIn profile there. Your LinkedIn profile is your future. It's not your past. Your resume is what you did. It's the past. Where your LinkedIn profile is, here's where I'm going. That's my mindset.
I absolutely love that, because, and here's the thing, I think I struggle even in my community, getting people to paint their vision. I think people struggle with it and they overthink it. The easiest way for me was to picture my life in 3 years. What do I want my day to look like? What do I want to be doing in 3 years? What would bring me joy? What would bring me income? And literally write it out in detail. And then you can build a life or a business or a job around that.
I can't wait for you and I to get together in real life. We're brunch, brainstorming, branding, business. Like, it's going to be a theme. Like, it's going to be so much fun because we could sit here and talk forever. So, where do you want to be in 3 years? So for me, just, bringing it so people can relate. My goal is to have a 4-day work week, and it's 6 hours a day. That's it. That's the goal by next year.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. And that's totally doable.
Totally doable. It's not unrealistic. It's just, I have to set up the processes. I've got to work on creating that. So good to have goals, you guys. Write them down. And you know what? Tell people your goals. I know a lot of people, Bill, that don't want to share goals, because then if they fail, they feel like a failure, right? If they don't meet those goals, they feel like a failure. Put it out to the universe and tell your community, your family, your friends, your business, your small business, the 10 people that you chat with all the time, so they can help support you and encourage you. That's how I feel. I don't know how other people feel.
I tend to agree with you, but also not everybody might feel as supported as we do. They might have people around
This
them
is
that um, tear
good
them
point.
down or tear dreams down. So usually what I say is make sure that you're fortified in your dreams before you share them. So make sure,
Ooh.
do the internal work, make sure that this is what you want. And then here's the other thing, and the real power of the habits. In fact, the real power of Miracle Morning for me was, when I started that, I had 6 business failures. I was lost a relationship. My heart was broken. My confidence was in the
Mhm.
basement, right? So if I would have shared goals at that point, it would have just
Yeah,
taken, just a little breath and I would have crumbled again. So I had to
that's a great
rebuild.
tip.
I had to rebuild my confidence. And by doing the Miracle Morning practices, by doing something I told myself I would do, that was the start. And that gradually grew. And then I would reach out, and then I started getting on to YouTube again. And then I started working on my book, and I started committing to that. And I'd write 1 or 2 sentences a day to Sign and Thrive. And that built me up again. And then I started talking about it. I'm writing a book because I'm literally writing a book. Even if it took me 3 years to write it, I was still writing that book. And that's that's what I would say about sharing your dreams.
I love that. And you're absolutely right. I've done that inner work already. So
Yeah.
I'm more of that verbalizer. But yeah, be safe, be confident, and then share. So we've got a question from our girl, Shelly Mitch. She actually texts me and says, I sent a question. It's like, I got you, girl. I got you. How did you get through the fear of doing your first loan signing? Because that's a big one, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to
Oh my
mess up on
gosh.
something like that. So how do you get through the first fears?
Okay, so the first thing I'll say is when I first started, all the training and resources that you have at your fingertips, Shelly, we did not have back then. So it was horrendous and nerve wracking because uh, even if I didn't fully appreciate the work that a mobile notary and loan signing agent did at the time, I knew there were things at stake, and I didn't want to look foolish. And I didn't want to do something that negatively impacted other people. So I remember my first several loan signing appointments. I was in the parking lot or out in front of their house, like ready to throw up, because that's just how I handled my nerves. I was ready to throw up. I was ready to turn the car around and just say, forget it. I'll figure out something else because I can't handle this. And I talked myself into just going and connecting with the people, connecting with them first. And it relieved to some degree that stress and pressure. So I could laugh with them a little bit. I could just stumble my way through it. I was just praying that they didn't ask me any questions. And it was really rough for that first couple of years. But how I got through it, and what I did is I created a system. I had to, rather than just stress out over before every appointment, I sat down and I said, okay, I got to, all these documents are the same. This is it's standardized on consumer mortgages. So I can go through and figure out. So I got a script that helped me keep pretty much all the appointments the same. So they ran the same way. I did the same thing before a signing, during a signing, and after a signing. To some degree, there's always people. So there's always curveballs, but at least I had a structure that I could lean on. And that allowed me to enjoy my job so much more. So now whenever I coach a student through this, you have usually around 50 signings. It was kind of a joke. We used to call them 50 signing princess, because we would teach everybody, like before I had my course, I was teaching my local notaries here, and they'd hit 50 signings. And they're like, bye, don't need you anymore, out doing my own thing. But in the beginning, it's hard to get 50 signings. It's kind of a catch-22, right? You're like waiting for your first one, and then you got to do your second one. But if you can't get 50 signings in a week or 2 weeks or a month in your market right now, then falsely create practice, get that same similar experience, get your partner, your spouse, your friend, your neighbor, your cat, somebody to sit down, like ring your own doorbell, do the intro, sit down, look at an ID, analyze it, write in a journal or use a practice in your journal, go through the scripts on your loan signing package, all the way through and do that 50 times. I tell people to do it 50 times. I've never seen anybody actually do it. We had one person do it up to like 14 or 15 times. But after that, she's like, okay, gosh, I've got this. And then you go to your first signing and it's just like you practice. And then that's how you know. That helps build the confidence.
I love that. Thank you so much for answering her questions. Well, we're a little over our time, but man, we could go on for a couple hours on this.
I think so, yeah.
This is great. We might have to have you back, and maybe we'll do one thing just on the notaries. But I know you have your own community, a lot of great resources. Thank you, Bill, for all of these tips on how you can overcome fears. So one of the things I put in is create a system to get over your fear. Some examples might be a checklist or a script. So, that's practice. Practice doesn't make perfect, but practice helps you become better, which gets you closer to becoming an expert. When you're more of an expert, you have less fears. When I first started streaming, I was a hot mess. Hot mess. If you ever saw my first episodes, like technology would freak me out. I love it and it freaks me out. What if it goes down? Now I'm like, hey, it's going to happen. So just keep moving forward. So Bill, where can everyone find you? If you want to let us give a shout out to where do you want them to connect with you and look you up?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mary. This has been so great. If there's anything I can do to support any of you in your business or businesses, whatever you've got. Obviously, I have Notary Coach at notarycoach.com. You can check that website out. I have a free report about how this whole business works. And then right now, my side hustle is the Side Hustle Lounge podcast, which you can find at sidehustlelounge.com, where we talk about legitimate income opportunities, the mindset to make them successful. And then we delve in why we work so hard through adventure and lifestyle design.
I love that. So we end this show with this or that, and I didn't even prep you about it. I promise it's not embarrassing. It's so that people can actually get to know you a little more.
Yeah, great.
I'm gonna give you 2 words, and you have to choose one. You don't get to add your own option in there. And let's get started. So, ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Flip-flops or boots?
Flip-flops, hands down.
Pizza or tacos?
Oh, 2 of my favorite foods. I'm going to go with tacos.
Sweet. Country or rock and roll?
Rock and roll.
Beach or mountains?
Oh, can I have both?
No.
I'll go with mountains.
Baseball or football?
I'll go with football.
Movies or a nap? Which would you choose?
A nap. Well, they're both for me. So nap. As soon as the TV comes on, my eyes close. So I'm out.
Mini golf or real golf?
Mini.
Laptop or desktop?
Laptop.
Podcast or video?
Video.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Cat or dog?
Cat for sure. But even though I have
Sweet.
2 dogs.
Wine or whiskey?
Ooh. Gosh, can I have both? I guess not. So I better go with wine. Be good on that one.
Thank you so much for playing along with my little game at the end.
I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us today, spending your morning overcoming your fears and getting some of the top tips with, let's see. Oh, I did it right with my new friend, Bill Soroka. I did it right on the first take.
Oh, shoot.
You guys, and I do want to let you know that I do have this amazing masterclass coming up. There we go. It's called LinkedIn Remastered. And you guys, I have over 12 amazing speakers from around the world, copywriters, branding experts, video experts, live streaming, and of course, a handful of LinkedIn experts helping you level up your LinkedIn game. It is absolutely free. You can still sign up. We are supporting Benevia, a local nonprofit that helps seniors, gives them hope, and provides services they need. So even though the masterclass is 1 week long, we're dropping 2 videos a day because I don't want to overwhelm you. The videos are like 30, maybe 40 minutes of training. But if you prefer to do Netflix style and binge watch all of them, you can buy the VIP kit for $37 right now. And that money doesn't go to me. It goes to Benevia. So we're providing hope to seniors, especially after this last year. They've been in lockdown more than any other group out there. So join the free masterclass. If you're pulling, got that heart tug, go ahead and sign up for the VIP kit, and you'll have lifetime access, and you'll give hope to a senior that has been homebound. So that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you so much. Bill, I am going to, where's my thing go? There we go.
Thank you, Mary. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.